Welcome to One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer. Well, we are the people who are going to bring you all the information you need to know about what's going on in Cardinal land and Cub land concerning spring training. I am your gracious, most handsome host, Vincent, and with me is the charming and beautiful JJ. So, when's the last time you've been called beautiful?
Oh, I don't think ever. Maybe
All
when I was
right,
a
well,
baby. Maybe when I was a baby.
babies aren't beautiful. They're cute.
They're
It's a
adorable.
cute
I
baby.
was
Yeah.
adorable.
I was not a cute baby. Yeah, I was. My sister was an ugly baby. In
Oh.
fact, we had pictures of her and she looked very primate-ish, I guess. And my mom used to joke that mom and dad would have arguments who was going to carry her around when they went out in public.
Oh man.
So
Bless her
she doesn't
heart.
listen to this, so
Okay, yeah.
family joke anyway. So all right, but I do want to ask you all to like us on Facebook. You can contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. You can support our efforts on Patreon. You just go to patreon.com, search for One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. You can support our efforts from $3 to $5 to $10, depending on how much you love us. And for those of you who don't support us, we know you don't love us. You tolerate us, which is good. I've been tolerated all my life. So
Oh yeah. I'm married, man.
every week, JJ and I get on here and we just tolerate each other. That's all we do. We really don't like each other. So,
I bad mouth my wife on here. Oh yeah.
um, the guess the Cubbie contest, last week's Cub was Aramis Ramirez, and Mark Marianello got
He's back.
on here first. He and Mike
Yeah.
Buchanan are both back in the race. So now Mark has 7 tallies. Tom Maget has 2. Cooter Lev and Mike Buchanan each have 1. And remember, this contest does go through the end of spring training. And you're collecting tallies, and the winner at the end of spring training who has the most tallies will get a potpourri of merch from One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer. And you will also get 2 tickets to a game of your choice. Transportation and lodging, if necessary, is on your bill. It's not on us. We're just doing tickets. Okay. So this is the Cub this week. This gentleman behind me, not the easiest, but I know that our listeners are very sorry. It's not nearly as difficult as Max Planck was. I can tell you
Oh,
that.
I didn't
But
know him.
yeah, this guy was a lot of fun in his short tenure with the Cubs. If you do want to be a contestant in one of our trivia contests, be a guest on a panel, if you have an interesting baseball connection that you would like to just talk about, please let us know. We like our input from those of you who watch and or listen, and we'd love to have you on here. Just send one of us a direct message, send us an email, comment on either the YouTube page or the Spotify. And just let us know, hey, I'd like to be on a panel. I'd like to be a contestant in trivia, or I invented popcorn at the ballpark, something like that. Um, so that's the housekeeping. Uh, JJ, how are you doing?
Man, Vince, can you feel it? Can you smell it? It's happening. Spring training. Oh, yeah, the best sin of all. The hitters are there now, along with the pitchers and catchers that's been there for a while. And spring training has officially started. And we have preseason games or practice games or Cactus League games this Saturday. And I'm really, really excited about it. One thing, this has got me through the winters. I don't know about all of y'all, but when it's wintertime and baseball's not going on, I really don't watch any other sports. And I kind of go through I don't know, the holidays and the family. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we're all getting there to baseball. The day when tomorrow's supposed to be as high as maybe 68 degrees. That's baseball
I'm going
weather.
outside naked again.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's line the streets and do a Billy Jack thing for Vince. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. All right. Well, I love this podcast for me. It's a way to vent and talk And I'm a nurse at the VA, and all the veterans, we have so many, hi, all the veterans out there that watch or listen and come in and talk baseball. Today, I probably talked about to 5 different veterans about the big topic was Matt Carpenter. What are the Cardinals doing? Why did they go get Matt Carpenter? And I'm just like, hey, a lot of teams invite a lot of veterans, and he might not make the team. He might make the team, but it'd be great. I'm glad he's back, and let's see what happens. So they'll be watching him this spring. I know a lot of people were, Vince, they have unrealistic. We should have went and got Snell and Montgomery. Well, yeah, that would be nice, but we're not going to spend that kind of money. And
Do
plus,
you think there's a do you think there's collusion against Boris?
well, um, well, yes, the Cardinals have pretty much from Tony La Russa on have said we're not dealing with Boris clients, although we have because he has so many of his other clients out there. But I think when it comes to free agency, yes, I do. I do believe that, Vince, because I know the Cardinals have even said that we don't like dealing with Boris, and we don't, we're not going to deal with him unless we have to. I don't know exactly what that means, but to me, it sounds like we're not. We have a choice. We're not going to get one of his clients, but he's got all the best players, Vince. What are you going to do? You're kind of stuck, you know?
See, I'm not. If it's collusion, I don't think it's like a situation where they're saying nobody deal with Boris.
Right.
What I think
Yeah.
is going on is teams have gotten to the point, except for the Dodgers, even the Yankees have gotten to this point where we're not spending this much money on anybody's client. And Boris just seems to be the guy who's always getting the most money. Uh, excuse me. But when you look at Snell, and I kind of broke that down last week, a 5 inning pitcher, he's not a workhorse. So he's overpriced. 2 great seasons, Cy Youngs in each season, but he's been atrocious in other seasons. Um, Also dealt with some injuries in other seasons. You have Bellinger, who teams are afraid of. They don't want to give him $200 million because what if he reverts back to what he was? And so that's not so attractive. So they're saying, nope, not going to spend that kind of money on Bellinger. Um, Chapman, if you look at his offensive production, it is going the wrong way. So I'm afraid if the Cubs sign Chapman or whomever signs Chapman for more than a 2-year deal, that contract could get bad in a hurry. I may be wrong, but that would be my concern as a general manager. The only one that doesn't make sense to me why he's not signed is Jordan Montgomery. But I haven't heard numbers flying around with Jordan Montgomery. I've heard numbers with Bellinger. I've heard numbers with Snell. I've heard numbers with Chapman. These are what they're looking for. But I really haven't heard that from Montgomery. But if Montgomery's asking for too much, if Boris is asking for too much from Montgomery, then so be it. But of those 4 players, he's the one that I think would make sense to sign. Because he is a workhorse type pitcher. He's had success. He's had success in the postseason, and he has pitched in that tough American League East. He's pitched in the Central, National League Central, had great success there. Then he went to Texas in a division that also has the Astros, and he was one of the catalysts that brought them to the World Series. So that doesn't make sense to me. But I think there is a little collusion, but I don't think it's a sinister collusion, if you know what I mean. I think it's like they're just saying these are our parameters. We're not going past that. You're asking too much for these guys.
Yeah, collusion does have it smells a little like being illegal, like we've decided, all of us, that we're not dealing. But with Boris, he's always been a little slimy. He'll use one team against another, and he'll say he's not for, but for what he does, he's the very best at getting the most money for his clients. he's fantastic at it, but I just think he's a little shady with how he goes about it with, oh, there's another team and trying to squeeze every penny he can. Of course, the players could say, I want to go there and this is what I'd like to get too. It's kind of up to the players. But
Yeah.
I think it's the years. It's not so much, Montgomery 1 year at this much for what he did last year. Oh, we'd love to have that. It's the 6 and 7 year contracts.
Yeah.
Vince, I think we're getting away from that because too many teams have been burned. I love Albert Pujols, but that 10-year deal, we were going to do it because he was like a legacy player. He was a guy we wanted to have him spend his whole career here in St. Louis. And the Angels came, and that's fine. And he had some good years with them, but it seemed like after about the fourth year, it just kept steadily going down and down. And at the end, they really paid a price for that big, big contract they had. So
Well, the
anyway,
Cubs got burned with the Hayward contract.
yeah.
And so I think we're still feeling the effects of that. And I'll get into the effects of that when I hit Cub news. I do want to pass on that we did have a former major leaguer pass away, Don Gullett, who pitched in the 70s. And if you're not familiar with Don Gullett, check this out. He was 109 and 50 in his career with a 3.11 ERA and 18.2 WAR. He pitched for the Big Red Machine. He was their ace, although he never won 20 games and he dealt with injuries. He was the anchor of their staff that also included the likes of Jack Billingham.
Fred
Gosh,
Norman. Fred Norman
yeah,
was a
Freddie Norman. So he was the anchor of that staff, and people say, well, he compiled that record because they had a great offense. He had a career ERA of right above 3. No, he was really good, and yeah, they had a great offense, but man, he was good. The
three
last few years,
311, a life 9 years, 311 ERA. Is that
yeah,
fantastic?
yeah,
Wow, man.
and I think he was done by the time he was 30 because of injuries. He pitched after Cincinnati. He signed a free agent contract with the Yankees and pitched for them the last few years, and then he had to retire. But I was, when I was growing up, everybody was kind of a Reds fan. It's kind of like being a Chiefs fan now, because the Big Red Machine, they had things going. And so I was kind of a Reds fan. So I really liked Gullett, and Sparky Anderson always picked him to pitch the big games, and he came through. So uh, rest in peace, Don Gullett.
Can I say
Uh,
something on Don Gullett real quick on Don Gullett? I looked up some
absolutely.
things on him. 9 seasons. By the time he reached his sixth season, he had 91 wins. And Sparky said, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. There was only he was ahead of the likes of left-handers, Warren Spahn, and I don't know if Whitey Ford was a lefty, but he was ahead of some of these all-time greats. And then he kind of, limped down his last few years. But in the 9 years he played, he was in 6 World Series. Uh,
Wow.
Lost the first two, won 75, and then won 4 straight World Series, 75 and 76 with the Reds, and then 77, 78 with the Yankees. And these are teams, legendary teams where I can name the whole Reds roster and most of the Yankees probably. And what a career. But I was going to touch how he got to the big leagues. He was from Kentucky and he was a multi-sport athlete. He was all state in 3 sports, the big 3: basketball, football, and baseball. And when he threw a perfect game in high school, his junior year, and in high school you play 7 innings. Vince, he struck out 20 batters out of 21, 20 strikeouts with 21 batters. My gosh. But the thing that caught my eye the most when he played football in Kentucky, he scored 72 points in one game. He scored 11 touchdowns and he kicked 6 extra points. Uh, I never scored a touchdown in a high school football game. I would like one. That's a career right there in that one game. And he was a first round draft choice in 1969, right out of high school. And it was just 1 year later he made it up and as a young player and was in the World Series. So anyway, Don Gullett, I like to celebrate these great players. And if you guys get a chance, especially you young folks, take a look at him because he was a heck of a player, man, really was.
Somewhere probably in Florida, there's a retirement home, and there's a gentleman who just about every day tells people, you know, I was in a high school baseball game and I popped out and I was the only one who made contact against Don Gullet.
You know what? That's true. You can hang your hat on that.
Uh, well, let me touch on something else. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but he just can't help but stick his foot in his mouth. Anthony Rendon
Oh yeah.
Made a statement, and I did watch the uh, statement, um, which he said that baseball's never been a top priority to me. Family first, faith, and then down the list is baseball. Okay, I buy that. I know your family should come first. There are people who are very deeply spiritual. Their faith comes second. Um, but to verbalize it that way, never been a top priority to me. Uh, Coming off the heels of his statement that the season is too long, and this coming from a guy who's averaged about 50 games the last 3 or 4 years, who is being paid more money than Mike Trout right now. Um, that was a terrible thing to say to a fan base who is just in disarray. I mean, the team's kind of in disarray, but the fan base is like, huh? Ron Washington, poor Ron Washington steps into this job, and that's the first thing he has to deal with is this goofy guy making stupid statements. Now, when you compare that with what Trout said um, just the day before, that being traded would be the easy way out. I want to bring a championship here, and that being traded never crosses my mind. I want to win here. Um, you're quickly going to become a pariah on your own team if your own team perceives you as, hey, man, it's not a top priority for me. And I know there are players who are not baseball fans. Britt Burns, I love to watch him pitch when he pitched for the White Sox. He was not a baseball fan. I heard him interviewed once. He said, I knew who Babe Ruth was. I'd heard of Ty Cobb, but, I didn't watch baseball. I, just played it. But Britt Burns was competitive. Um, the Cubs a couple years ago had Andrew Chafin, who's still in the league, who was not a baseball fan growing up, and he's still not a baseball fan. He loves working on muscle cars. That's his thing.
It's his thing.
But man, he goes out there and he's one of the best middle reliever setup men that we've seen in the last 7, 8 years because he's at least competitive. Rendon, you would think this is my job and I want to do it well, but it's like, it's just my job and I really don't like it. And whatever. Okay, if you're getting paid the league minimum, your butt's traded or waived or you're gone. But this guy has a contract that's still paying him, what, 35 million a year? Jeez, Beazle. And who was it? Phil Brooks, who said that in Washington, when he signed that free agent contract with the Angels, the people in Washington were like, huh? This is a guy who does not have passion for the game, obviously. He's overpaid, and I mean, he if he feels this way, he shouldn't have said it out loud. Well, he obviously feels this way because he keeps talking about it, but he needs to learn to keep his mouth shut. Because I can guarantee you, there are players on the Angels like Mike Trout who want to win pretty bad. And maybe the issue with the Angels, it hasn't been management, hasn't been whatever. Maybe the issue has been we've got some bad apples in the clubhouse, and when the guy who's making the most money is your worst apple, what do you do? You know?
Yeah. Well, that's Vince. It's a weird ecosystem in that locker room. I mean, you got young guys, old guys, different generations. You got managers. I think Tony La Russa, as he got older too, he was too old, but I think he lost touch with a lot of the young players. You have international players now, and I truly, maybe I'm naive, but I truly believe everybody wants to make money, have a career, be in the big leagues. For most folks, this has been their childhood dream to get there. As a fan, I want these guys to give me their best. Go out there and, hey, we're the Cardinals. You represent our city. You represent our fans. Let's go out there and give them our best shot. That's all I ask. And when they don't hustle or verbalize, I don't really care to be out there. Man, it's spring training. This is the beginning of the season. Even Oakland A's, and knowing they're probably not going to win the thing, but they believe, hey, this could be our year. Maybe this is our year. So that kind of shoots it down right there, man. I know that's rough, and it's so hard because some teams can't go out and buy all the top free agents, so you have to invest in these young players, and you got to be careful. You Wander Franco, I think, of his situation, but for every one of him, you have like that Julio Rodriguez, who seems to be the Seattle just loves that kid, and he's going to be the face of that team for a long, long time. Acuna, I hope Jordan Walker, if he's out there listening, we'd love him to be the face of the team for the next few years. I'm kind of afraid, Vince, that he's going to get too good too fast, and he's going to be out of our price range. But I hope we get him signed up to a long-term contract and move him over to first base. That's my hope there. So I'm with you. Yeah. What are you doing, Rendon? Just go out there and play ball and enjoy the game. It's a job. At worst, it's a job. And go out there and do your job. Hey, I have several jobs. If I went out there and told the people I work for, hey, this place sucks. I don't want to be here. Man, they'd get rid of me. I always say, hey, good to see you. Welcome. Come on in. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Good 2 cents. Very good 2 cents.
Thank you.
We have a new viewer of the YouTube. This
Hey.
will be the first episode that he's watched, unless he goes and watches old ones. But we kind of had a back and forth in on a Facebook deal because he sometimes you post two players and it will have their career stats, and one player's stats will be superior to another, but the other player will have a higher WAR. And his argument is the WAR is ridiculous. And so I tried to explain this to him, and I said I'm going to explain it on the podcast. And if he wants to be a guest on here, Steven's his name. If he wants to be a guest on here and refute what I'm saying, that's fine. But the reason that you will have players with some gaudy numbers that don't have as high a WAR as someone who has less gaudy numbers is because your WAR is based upon your era, the people that your contemporaries you're playing against. And as I told him, John Olabrud was a great first baseman. Maybe would get Hall of Fame consideration. But his WAR is low because he was playing first base in the steroid era where he wasn't taking steroids. So when you match his numbers with McGuire, Mark Teixeira, other first basemen,
Rafael Palmeiro.
Yeah, Palmeiro. When you compare his numbers, they're going to for sure have a higher WAR because their numbers are inflated because of the juice. And he was more of a contact hitter. So even though he was a great hitter and a great fielder, his WAR is so much lower that he's not getting much consideration. And then you could look at, his favorite comparison with me was Bobby Grish has a higher WAR than Sandberg. Well, yeah, because when Bobby Grish was playing in the 70s and early 80s, there weren't too many power hitting second basemen. You had Joe Morgan who could pop 20 home runs, but he really wasn't a power hitter. You had, Manny Trio was not a great hitter, but he was making all-star teams because of his glove. Um, Grish was a great offensive player along with a great defensive player. So his WAR is very high because he's being compared to the second baseman of his era. Whereas when Sandberg uh, was playing second, you had Robbie Alomar Jr., you had other great second basemen who were great offensively. So Sandberg's WAR isn't as high as you would think it would be. So I just kind of, because he thinks that WAR is a meaningless stat. I think it's a very helpful stat if you understand that you are being compared with the people at your position during your playing career. And there was when I was a kid, um, one of the teachers, my science teacher in eighth grade, who was a huge baseball fan, he let us stay after school and talk baseball with him. And he said something that was tremendous. He said, "You want to know what a great season is? You don't have to hit 50 home runs because if you hit 50 home runs and there's 8 other guys that have hit 40 home runs, it was an offensive year. But if you hit 35 home runs and the next highest player in the league is hitting 22 home runs, that huge gap between the numbers is what really defines a great year. So if you're if like the year you Scrimsey won a batting title batting 301, um, he had a lot of distance between most of the rest of the league because it was that year of the
Yeah.
pitcher. Um, but then you can have like a player hit 350, but if you have a lot of players who are hitting 342 down to three, you have 12 guys that are hitting above 320, it's not such a great year because it was an offensive year. And I kind of look at WAR as kind of an offshoot of that you're comparing with what you played with. So is it the end all be all of stats? No, it's not. But it does give you an idea of how good you were against your contemporaries.
Y- Uh, I uh, I have to look at all the statistics. I like to hold the breadth of the whole career, and I'm a huge Bobby Grinch fan. I love Bobby Grinch. Maybe, possibly the best second baseman of his generation. I know when the Angels were putting that All-Star team together to win for Gene Autry, he was a second baseman. I loved his fire. I loved how he played, but I'd have to look at but this is what's so great about baseball, Vince. We have our favorites. We have people we stand up for. Like I truly believe Fred McGriff was one of the people that was victimized by the steroid era more than anybody, and he finally got his just due because he just,
Yes.
he only hit 35 home runs. Look, Brady Anderson's hitting 51, but he was a winner, a great guy. Yeah, exactly, exactly. That one year. But man, so anyway, but this is what's so great about baseball. We talk and I like, oh, what are you talking about? What about this guy? That's the beauty of it. I hope he comes on here and talks too. I'm open minded. I'll learn a few things. It'll be great.
Yeah, we weren't arguing. We were civil,
Oh
but
yeah. Oh yeah.
I told him I'd bring it up in my podcast, so you better listen to it. He said, "Hey, I'll listen to your
All
podcast." So,
right. Well, welcome aboard.
um, as far as transactions go, those of note, Brandon Woodruff signs a 2-year deal with the Brewers, and they really needed to do this for PR reasons. And he may not be back until August, September, but they really could not let him get away too
Oh yeah.
after the PR nightmare they had of trading Burns, and so that happened. The Phillies have invited former All-Star David Dahl to spring training, and they have signed second baseman Whit Merrifield. Merrifield plays
To hit
second,
wit.
short. He plays some outfield. He can play anywhere,
I love it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, he's getting up there. I think he's about 35 years old, but he's still a productive player. Um, I've always been a fan of his, and I think the Phillies have got someone that they can plug into a lot of. He's going to be like a Ben Zobrist type player for them. The Blue Jays signed former Cub and former All-Star Daniel Vogelbach to a minor league deal. So that's kind of cool to see
Yeah.
Vogelbach still bouncing around. They also signed former All-Star Eduardo Escobar to a minor league deal. So the Blue Jays are trying to do what a lot of teams are doing, let's bring a bunch in and see what sticks. This is cool. The Giants invited Pablo Sandoval to camp. Have you heard this?
No, I did not know this.
Yeah, and apparently he looks great. I haven't seen him, but I was listening to the MLB deal on satellite, and they were saying that he looks great. He's in shape, and apparently his one of his kids said, "Dad, you're in better shape now than you ever were as a player. You need to give it a shot again." So the Giants said, "Oh, come on."
That could be a great story. That could be a great
Yeah,
story right there.
yeah. They Giants also put former Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray on the 60-day IL, and it's been a rough go for Robbie Ray the last few years. Um, and since when he went to Seattle, things just kind of went south, and then he had that playoff deal where he blew the save, and it's been rough on him. And the Giants finally officially, we announced this last week, but it's now official. They have signed Jorge Soler. And do you know the Giants have not had a guy hit 30 home runs in 20 years now?
I did.
And in that
20?
time, they've won 3 World Series.
Wow. No, I didn't
So,
know that. Brandon
yeah,
Belt never hit that many. I'll be
nope.
darned.
Posey never hit that many. Do you know who the last player to hit 30 home runs for
Well,
the
I'm
Giants was?
guessing Bonds.
It was Barry Bonds, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Wow.
think of like Hunter Pence, they've had some
Yeah.
power hitters, but
I would thought. Yeah.
yeah, that
Sandoval.
yeah, it's just a hard place to hit home runs unless you're jacked up on roids.
I
Was that out loud? I'm sorry.
think that was
Um,
God said that. God had said that.
um, the Diamondbacks signed former Cardinal Randall Grichuk.
Good for
Good.
him. Yeah.
Now he's probably only going to hit against left-handers. He's going to be platooning with Jock Peterson. My question is, what was wrong with Tommy Pham? You had him last year. He's still
I,
productive.
I don't know. Maybe they spent their money elsewhere. Just I don't know. Maybe he got a
I,
better deal somewhere. I'm not sure either.
I
Tom,
Pham's still out there.
he's a fiery competitor, man. Super athlete. Has trouble staying healthy sometimes. I mean, he's had some injuries in his past, but last year, what a year! I mean, he was a big part of that team.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
nothing against Grishik, but I'm thinking, okay, wasn't that a lot of unnecessary paperwork where you could have just Pham, who's kind of the same player, just said, "Hey, you want to stay here? Sure, okay."
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
it just seemed a little weird. The Royals traded right-handed pitcher David Sandlin to the Red Sox for right-handed pitcher John Schreiber. The Orioles claim shortstop Diego Castillo off waivers from the Phillies. The Angels signed former All-Star left-handed pitcher Drew Pomeranz to a minor league contract. That's one of those names I'd kind of forgotten about. And then it's like, oh yeah, he was pretty good for San Diego a few years ago. Um, so that I hope it works out. Like I said, the Angels are an interesting team. I just put it that way. So the Mets have invited Luke Voigt, former Cardinal, to camp. So I know he likes New York. He's played for the Yankees and seems to like it. And then this I thought was really cool. The Red Sox have signed right-handed pitcher Liam Hendriks to a 2-year deal, even though he's not going to pitch until the end of the year. Gosh, he's in his mid-30s, but with everything that he's been through, still being productive.
Yeah,
And I know this wasn't a sympathy contract. I know they feel like he can really help them. So that was cool. So that's all the transactions. Well, it's not all it's the transactions that don't concern the Cardinals and the Cubs that I have. So uh what's going on in Cardinal land?
well, Vince, this week's been fun. I've been just rejuvenated by the upcoming spring training. I watched 2 games of the week involving the Cubbies. 1969, Cubs, Wrigley Field against the Phillies. And DeRocher was interviewed before the game saying that these guys need to straighten up. They're not focusing. And I was looking at the lineups. Ernie Banks was playing first base, and Billy Williams was in the game. And I knew all the Cubs except for two. Don Kessinger was leading off. Glenn Burkett. It was fun. And then the other, and it was Fergie Jenkins pitching against Rick Wise, black and white. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And in 72, it was in Veterans Stadium. No, it was Candlestick Park. It was Fergie Jenkins pitching against the Giants, game of the week. And Steve Stone was pitching for a young Steve Stone later to become the announcer for the Cubbies. And now I believe he's with the White Sox. And
Yeah.
Dave Kingman was in that game. Dave
Was he
Kingman,
playing third?
he was playing third base for the Giants. How
Yeah.
about that? How about that? So anyway, that was fun. And when you watch these old games, they talk about what's going on around the league. Like Fergie was on fire in '69, but in like 1972, he was like 2-7. And they said, "What's going on?" Gibson lost 5 games before he won his first in '72. So it's fun to hear these old names and these players that have come and gone and get to see them play. It's pretty darn cool, you know. And the graphics, we take all this information for granted. The graphics are like prehistoric back in 1969. It's just each team hits, runs, errors. That's it. Boom. That's all they put up there. And your name in big old letters. Which leads me to the next story, Vince. I thought it was the Cardinals that were just upset about the new uniforms that evidently Nike and Fantastics signed like a $1 billion 10-year deal with the MLB to do their uniforms. But around the league, they're not happy. The lettering on the back is much smaller. Some people say it looks like it's a replica jersey. Uh, it looks like it's stitched, but sometimes it's just glued on. So a lot of the tailors for the teams the pants don't fit correctly. Evidently, they're tailored to each player's specific needs, and now the tailors from each team are having to alter all these uniforms and get them ready for the season. So I don't know. Money talks. I guess if you give me $1 billion, I'll wear some short pants or they'll be a little droopy in the back or something like that. But that's what's going on, and it's not just the Cardinals. I hear that around the league. A lot of teams are not really happy with these new uniforms, but we'll see what happens. Vince, baseball is coming, and the first sign of the season is upon us. And this is a tease for all you podcasters out there. We tease something that's coming up. The 2024 Topps baseball cards have arrived, baby. Woo! Acuna Jr. is on the front. So anyway, when we open up cards there you go. I'll give you that dramatic pause again. The Acuna, the card, the 2004 Topps cards are out. They came out yesterday. Of course, I had to go get a pack of them right there to open
Where'd
up.
you get those at?
Walmart, right here in
Okay.
Potosi. Yeah, right down here.
I went to Walmart yesterday with my grandson because I had to take him back to his mother who works at Merritt's in Fenton. So on the way to Merritt's, we decided, no, he's 7, like he makes a decision. I decided, let's go to Walmart because my wife needed some frozen vegetables. So I go there, I get the frozen vegetables. Then I said, I'm gonna go see if the new baseball cards are out. None. Every time I go to a Walmart, I can find basketball cards, I can find football cards, I can find hockey cards. I can't find baseball cards. And that leads, I know baseball is more of a collector's type sport
Yeah.
than the others, but if it came out yesterday, is there some baseball nut running around Fenton buying up all the baseball cards? I don't know.
There are sets, not so much Topps. They do have autograph cards in there, but there's some more higher dollar cards with some very nice pieces in there, like the Tom Brady signed card, as if he had got drafted by the Expos, where he's in an Expo uniform. And I think there's only like maybe 50 of those around. I've went to places when they just deliver them, and there'll be somebody on a cell phone. They got some of these, and he'll be picking up all these cards for, I guess, card shops or extreme collectors out there. I'm just a regular guy, and what money I have, a bigger piece of the pie goes to baseball. But that's what I love. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. But the 2000, but you're right, Vince. They had a whole thing of 2024 cards, and by the time I got there, there was about five of these little packs left. So I bought three and opened two. I couldn't wait to see what they looked like. I'm one of the people I can't wait. I have no patience. So that's what I did. Um, Also, I was going to tell you that I am a big fan of Mike Schilt. I still believe that Mike Schilt should be the Cardinals coach. I don't know what happened. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We won 17 games in a row that year, and we lost the one game playoff to the Dodgers. And Schilt did a heck of a job here, and we love him. He's out in San Diego, and I wish him all the best. Win every game except against the Cardinals. But there's also, I call it the Schilt effect. He's very good with people. And on that Padre team, you have a lot of superstars. And he went to Xavier Bogaerts, who's been a shortstop, but has been trending downward in his statistics, and got him to see if he would, anyway, told him he'd like him to play second base, that it would be better for the team, and that Kim's going to be the shortstop, which is odd because Tatis is the shortstop, and so is Machado. You know, they all can play shortstop, but Kim's going to play there, who is a heck of it. He won a Gold Glove this year. He'll be at second, and I believe Bogarts is going to learn second base, so he has all of spring training to learn second base. And I give Bogarts a lot of credit because players have egos. He's always been a shortstop, but for the good of the team, he's going to move to second. And I like how Schilt, I think, flew to his home country, took him out, and talked to him about this, and he agreed to do it. So Mike Schilt, way to go! That's the kind of manager I want for my team right there. That goes straight up to the guy and says, "Hey, this is what we want. What do you think?" And they talk it out and make it happen. So very good, Mike Schilt. I'll go on and on about him. I love the guy.
Wouldn't it be cool if the Padres win 90, 94 games? They've still got a lot of talent.
Oh
And
yeah,
he wins manager of the year. I think that'd be awesome
that would be great.
because when when the Cardinals fired him, I sent my dad a text, and my dad immediately sent one back. He'd look good in Cubbie blue. Yes, he would.
He's a lifetime guy who's spent his whole career working his way all the way up to the top. Like we talked about Johnny Keane last week. Mike Schilt's one of those guys, and I wish him all the success in the world. A hard worker, just one of those baseball lifers right there. And yeah, now I don't think it'd be cool if we get to the playoffs and he sweeps us. No, that wouldn't be so cool. But I wish him well. I really do. I hope he has a long, successful career over there in San Diego. In Cardinal news, though, you were asking, a lot of hope going down to spring training. A lot of people getting excited. Nolan Arenado had an interview where he was talking about he's got a chip on his shoulder this year. Not that he let the team down, but he just had an off year last year. And Nolan Arenado, I'll never say that guy didn't work his butt off. He'll give you everything he's got every time. He just didn't have the outcome that he usually has. Didn't win the Gold Glove for the first time. But man, that's hard to do. And that Hayes kid from Pittsburgh, well deserving, fantastic player. But I'm excited about Nolan getting worked up because I'm telling you, Vince, we were, I think, the fifth best hitting team in the National League. That's the one thing we can hang our hat on. And these younger players got a lot of experience, and we're going to be moving up. I hope they all make some advancements, and let's see what happens. That's going to be fun. So Arenado, he's on board. He's working his butt off, and he's kind of a maniac anyway. So I love that guy on our team. The bullpen battle. A lot of players we've invited. It's going to be some good bullpen sessions. I mean, we haven't faced live hitting yet. Sonny Gray came down early and he was facing some batters and he looked really good. But again, it's not a game. Main thing is we don't want to get hurt. Orioles already have some injuries, Vince. Did you hear about that? I mean, this team just looks like they're primed and ready to take that big step. They got to the playoffs last year and got knocked out in the first round, and now they got injuries. So, I want to win a game every once in a while in spring training, but the main thing is to come north and be healthy and ready to go. And then they're talking perhaps about a 6-man rotation early in the season, the Cardinals, and we have a lot of young players that'll be battling for that. Matter of fact, I think that's a good thing that you have all this competition. I think these young guys pushing the Matzes and the Cal Gibsons and the Lance Lynn's out there. That'll be great. And then those guys pushing Michaelis and Sonny Gray. So this will be good. We'll have some long relievers. I think a lot of these guys that are really pretty good will be down in Memphis and ready to go if anybody gets hurt or falters a little bit. So a lot of competition. We don't have the Dodgers rotation. Let's be honest, but we have a lot of kids with a lot of promise and some more coming even next year. So that's what I'm excited about. So that 6 May Saturday we start playing, and it's a split squad, and two of the guys fighting for that sixth pitching spot are up. Uh, Half the team's in playing the Mets, and the other half is playing the Marlins. And the two pitchers are going to be Libator and Thompson. And I'm a big Zach Thompson fan. That kid looks like he's going to be good. He was great in the bullpen, but now they're going to see if he could start this spring. So Saturday it starts, Vince. I'm excited, and that's my Cardinal news.
I'm excited too, and I will definitely watch the first spring training game. The weather's nice. I'll watch it on the deck and just
Yeah.
enjoy life. Um, Concerning Cub news, the Cubs have signed first baseman, former All-Star David Peralta to a minor league contract. He played with the Dodgers last year, and he was a little below league average in his offensive production. Um, I I I'm not in favor of him making the team. This has Hosmer slash Mancini written all over it. They've also invited Dominic Smith, who played for the Mets, had some good years. So they've got two veteran trending down players they've invited for first base. I know that Michael Bush, that's his job to lose. So I don't know why they had, yeah, I don't know. We got Mervis in the minor league, so we're putting uh Owen Casey at first base. I just whatever. You can see I'm really thrilled about the transactions we made this week. This is interesting. Craig Counsell was interviewed, and he said that Christopher Morel is going to get a shot at third base. He's going to get a lot of reps there during spring. Morel is a third baseman by trade, but he is a bad third baseman by trade. His issue is not so much fielding, is his arm. He's got a very strong arm, one of the strongest arms on the team, if not the strongest arm on the team. But a lot of people who have cannons, outfielders, the reason they're in the outfield is because with their cannon arm, they don't throw short distances like across the diamond very accurate. And so they're going to go over some drills with him to try to correct some of those throwing issues. So if Morel's going to play third base, who's our designated hitter? David Peralta, Dominic Smith? I hope not. JD Martinez?
There you go.
He's still out there.
A great veteran.
It wouldn't be that expensive either. So I
like that idea.
That's pretty cool. Dave Ricketts, the Cubs owner, he was interviewed, and he made the statement that the Cubs have talked to Bellinger, Boris, Camp, but there's been no negotiations. So it's just been talks so far. Now, then he went on to say that he stated a fact that Boris is known for bypassing GMs and going straight to owners. And Ricketts says, I don't do that. I hire a GM. I hire a vice president of baseball player operations. I've got Jed Hoyer. I've got Carter Hawkins. That's who's going to negotiate this, decide this. That's not me. So Boris shot back saying basically blah, 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 blah about that.
Really? He said
that? So a little bit of nipping back and forth.
Yeah. Oh, he's always got something to say.
Yeah. But the fact is, He's got 4 clients that spring training has started, and they are not under contract. Baseball players do not like their routine upset. So if I'm sure that he's being told by the players, start ramping this up. We're not going to get what we want, obviously. So get something good for us. I do know that Snell is talking with the Yankees again. So when the Yankees kicked the tires and said how much, and Boris said a gazillion dollars, I said, nah, bye. But now apparently those talks have been re-engaged. So apparently Boris is kind of coming down a little bit because the Yankees just weren't going to spend that kind of money on Snell for reasons that we got into last week and a little bit this week. So that's what's going on in Cub news. Not a whole lot. Hopefully we can sign Bellinger, get him into camp, and
He does.
move
I'd
forward.
like to see him with the Cubs too. He revitalized his career. He looks good in a Cub uniform. He's nice in that middle of the lineup. And man, he was. I think the captain of the team last year, statistic wise, wasn't he the best player out there?
Oh yeah, hit over 300.
Killed
Tied and
us.
row, tied and
Killed
row
us.
with the league lead and home, or with the team lead in home runs.
Outstanding.
And he missed 20, 25 games too. Drove in 97 runs.
Played all over. He
Still,
played first, didn't he? Played first too, didn't
he
he?
played first and center, both of them Gold Glove caliber. And not only that, he stole like 20 bases. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know who else is great?
Oh yeah, Jeremy Connor. They're top of the top 5%er right there. Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Connor. He's going to take time out of spring training just to help us.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. All right, JJ, we're going to kind of give our predictions of what our 40-man roster and 26-man roster is going to be when the season starts. And I had fun doing this. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was looking through everybody they've had invited down to spring training and top prospects, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and the 40-man roster now, I only have like 2 variations from that. And of course, we don't know the 26-man roster at this point, so everything's just
Our
kind of there.
prediction. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Our expertise in it.
So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first, Vince. Go ahead. I like to hear what's happening in the Cubbie area.
Okay. This is who I see on the 40-man roster, and then I will tell you who I see on the 26-man roster. As far as pitchers go, for starters, I see Javier Assad is going to be on the roster. Kyle Hendricks, Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele, Jameson Tayo. Now, this other guy that I've got is going to be a hybrid because I do think he's going to get a few spot starts, but he's going to pitch mainly out of the bullpen. So I'll start with this guy for the relievers on the 40-man roster. Wait a minute. I didn't finish the starters. So, I also have Ben Brown on the 40-man roster, Caleb Killian on the 40-man roster, and Hayden Wisniewski and Jordan Wicks on the 40-man roster. Sorry. Now, as far as the relievers go, like I said, Drew Smiley's kind of a swing guy, so he can do both. But I also have Yancy Almonte, who we pitched for the Dodgers last year. Adbert Alzolay, Michael Arias, Jose Guas, Porter Hoge, Bailey Horn, Daniel Palencia, uh, Keegan Thompson, and that rounds out my pitchers for the 40-man roster. As far as catchers go, I have two catchers on the 40-man roster. When camp breaks, I have Miguel Amaya and Yan Gomes. Those are no-brainers. And as far as the infielders go on the 40-man roster, I have Michael Bush, Nico Horner, Nick Madrigal, Miles Mastrobuoni, Matt Mervis, Christopher Morel, Dansby Swanson, Matt Shaw, and Patrick Wisdom. And as far as the outfielders go on the 40-man roster, Kevin Alcantara, Alexander Canario, PCA, Owen Casey, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, and Mike Talkman. So I think I had like two variations. I can't remember who. I know Owen Casey's not on the 40-man roster, and I think he's going to be when they break camp. And gosh, can't remember who else anyway, I should have made a note of it. So this is as constructed now. This is who I see going north with the team. For starters, Assad, Hendricks, Imanaga, Steele, and Tayo. That's going to be our five that we're taking at the beginning of the year to start. In the bullpen, I kind of like our bullpen now. Almonte, Alzolay, Jose Cuas, and I think Cuas will have a much better year because Cuas isn't going to be asked to do more than what he's capable of, which happened last year when the bullpen fell apart. Where am I at? Oh, Mark Leiter Jr., Luke Little, who I'm very high on, Julian Merriweather, who was our most consistent arm last year out of the pen, Hector Neris, who has had two killer years in a row for the Astros, so charged to see him, and Drew Smiley. I see them coming north. Now that means that Jordan Wicks is not coming north, even though I think he certainly deserves it, but it looks like they're going to give Assad the best shot at being that fifth starter. Could be because Jordan Wicks is the left-handed version of Kyle Hendricks. You know, maybe they don't want to predominantly change up pitchers, but I do think Wicks is going to see some time in the rotation this year. Hayden Wisniewski, who I'm not ready to give up on. I see him spending some time with the big league club this year, maybe getting a spot start or two. And Caleb Killian and Ben Brown, I certainly expect to see them throw a little bit in the big leagues this year. But that's the staff that I see going north at this point. Of course, we've only got two catchers on the 40-man roster, so they're both going north, Amaya and Gomes. As far as the infielders, I see Michael Bush, Horner, Madrigal, Mastrobuoni, Morel, Swanson, and Wisdom all going north, which means that Matt Mervis and Matt Shaw will not be going north. They'll be in AAA to start the season. And clearly the Cubs have something against people whose first name is Matt. Corny joke. The outfield I see is going with four outfielders. PCA going north, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, and Mike Talkman. And if Bellinger is signed, I see PCA starting the year AAA, which means Alcantara will probably start in AA. Alexander Canario, who I think is going to see plenty of playing time in the big leagues this year. He'll start in AAA, and Owen Casey will start either a AA or AAA to learn the first base position. So That's what Vince says. Now, I'm going to save this,
All right.
and then when we break camp, I'll see how stupid I am.
We did that with predictions last year. And you know what? We batted about 50-50 in some of these predictions we made. Vince, I have two
No, I
questions.
didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I was at the Mendoza line. Are you kidding me?
Well, people's got short memories. You let them believe that. I have two questions for you about the Cubs, though. Do you think the first question is, do you think Bush and PCA are big league ready? I mean, this spring training is going to tell a lot. Is that a good sign that they're both on the team? I know they're great prospects, but do you think they're ready for the big leagues yet?
Yeah, I think Bush is he hit when he was with the Dodgers. When they called him up, he hit. It just didn't have room for him. So I think he's definitely ready. PCA defensively has been ready for the big leagues since he was 19 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
when he was first drafted by the Mets, that's what they were saying. This guy is a Gold Glove center fielder now in the big leagues. And to yeah, go to YouTube and just Pete Crow Armstrong and just look at the videos of this guy. He is Gary Maddox. He is that good defensively.
Speed, great speed, man. That guy can fly.
Speed and takes off with the crack of the bat. He is just a perfect center fielder defensively. Um, his last year, I think he got 18 at bats with the Cubs and didn't get a hit. Now, I don't. He was used sparingly, and it's very tough to come up here when you're getting maybe 5, 6 at bats a week. It's very tough to get a rhythm. And this is a guy who's played every day since he was a little kid, and suddenly you're sitting the bench and you're called a pinch hit one day, pinch run, play defense one day. And I think the last day when the Cubs were out, I think he started and got 4 or 5 of his at bats in that last day. So that was like the only day that he kind of. And I will say this: he looked overmatched and he looked bad, except for that last day. He looked overmatched in his first at bat, and then he looked fine, even though he didn't get a hit. So I'm not too worried about him offensively, but I'm excited about him defensively. Um, if we don't get Bellinger, um, Michael Talkman is a good fourth outfielder. He's
Yes,
not
it
an
is.
everyday center fielder, even though the Cardinals think defensively he is.
Yeah,
He's
that
not.
I'll never
Yeah,
forget that play, man.
yeah. He's because Bellinger was out for a while. Um, he got, and then Bellinger played a lot of first base too. He got a lot more playing time than he would have gotten, and he got exposed a little bit, and started getting a pretty good book on him. By the end of the year, he wasn't hitting well because the league had caught up with him. So I'm excited about PCA, um, and I think he's ready. I think Michael Bush is ready, and another guy who I don't see coming north, but I do think is going to see a lot of playing time. Alexander Canario, I think, is absolutely his bat is ready for the big leagues, and I'm very high on him. So I'm happy with him.
All right. And that second question was that your sounds like a great lineup, uh, 24, 26 man roster, but and what I heard was maybe a little bit better at third and center. That was the only two positions that you could maybe have an upswing on, and everything else is pretty good right now.
Yeah, and I'm happy with the team as is. Um, it's if I was in the uh any other division except for the Central in both leagues, I would be more worried. But this is a division along with the American League Central where you can have a few weak spots and still win the division. So
Okay.
so I'm happy with it.
Well, in Cardinal land, this is my 40 man roster I would have with our players. The one thing I've been reading a lot about the Cardinals, it looks like we've got our 5 starters set at the beginning. These are the 5 we're going to battle with. And then it looks like Memphis is kind of set too, that these guys, they're going to, have them pitch a lot of innings and do a lot of work down in Memphis before they come up. And it looks like Springfield's even kind of set right now, with four of their five starters. And there's a little battle there because they've got areas they want them to work on and then work their way up to the next level. So with that being said, this is who I have. On our 40-man roster, I have Ryan Fernandez. He's 26. Gallegos, he's 30. I didn't know he was 33 already. Or he'll turn 33 this year. Cal Gibson, Sonny Gray. Well, actually the starters, of course. Cal Gibson, Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Steven Matz, and Miles Michaelis. Those are the five guys that are on the 40-man roster, plus I think it'll be the five starters. The other guys on the 40-man roster that are pitchers are Ryan Fernandez, Gallegos, Helsley, John King. A lot of names you're going to hear from these trades we made at the trading deadline. Not a really good young arms and with some experience. Andrew Keitling, the kid we got from Tampa Bay. He's 34. He'll be 34 this year.
That's a kid to us.
Yeah, that's a kid. That's half my age right there. Some of these names: Adam Pfaffenstrom, he's 24. Libertor, he's still around. Middleton, the kid that pitched with the White Sox last year. Let's see, a kid named Riley O'Brien. He's only 20. He'll turn 29 this year. Has some experience in the big leagues. I think he's going to be on the roster and have a shot at it. We have a Rule 5 guy.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Riley O'Brien.
Yeah.
Is that the most Irish name I've ever heard in my life?
Conan O'Brien and his good friend. Yes, very good for all our Irish people out there. Yeah, let's get. I hope he makes the team. Andre Palante, who is kind of a hybrid. And we've got a lot of these guys who could start or be a long reliever. Palante last year kind of didn't have the year he had. The year before he had a really good year. So we'll see where he's at. He's going to get a lot of opportunity in the spring training. Sim Robertson, Nick Robertson, Drew Rom, who started a few games last year when we had all those injuries. Jojo Romero, who we got from the Phillies, and at times was our closer and was very good. He's a lefty as well. And Zach Thompson, who I love Zach Thompson. When he was in the bullpen, he was, I think, our best reliever. Per time appearance. He was fantastic, and then they sent him down to Memphis to stretch him into a starter. And he will be starting one of the split squad games. So that's it for the pitchers. We got three catchers. We have Wilson Contreras, of course, who I think was our steadiest hitter last year. Ivan Herrera, who I am very excited. This kid can't do any more down in the minors. I'll talk about him a little bit more. And we have a kid from Springfield who he's 25 right now. His name's Pedro Pages, and he's got a good stick. He can hit pretty good, and it'll be good to have him up here in spring training working with Yachty and Wilson and Herrera. So that'll be good. And Herrera is 23 years old. We've got a young team. I'm excited about this Ivan Herrera kid. Our infielders, of course, coming to spring training. Arenado, Luca Baker, who we have a long line of these guys that are big guys that have a lot of potential. Matt Adams, Luke Voigt, Mike Laga. Remember that name, Vince? Mike Laga. Those type of guys, these big guys with a lot of power. And Luca Baker, though, he lit it up in the minors last year. Brendan Donovan back from his injury. Tommy Edman. Fermin, the shortstop, Jose Fermin. Goldschmidt, Gorman. A guy named Buddy Kennedy, who's an infielder. Let's see, Mason Wynn and Jared Young, and that's the infielders. And then our outfielders, I put Edmund with the infielders, although he may play the outfield. But our outfielders are Burleson, Dylan Carlson, Newbar, Michael Siani, and this kid is he bats left-handed and he's got great speed. This kid's got a lot of potential, and he is 24 years old. And Jordan Walker, and finally the DH Matt Carpenter is invited to spring training, and he's the 40th man I have on that roster that's going to be battling for those 26 spots. And to be honest with you, Vince, we got 26 spots, and I think there's probably 23 to 22 that's already been pretty much decided who's coming north. There's just a few spots for the bullpen in particular, and maybe an outfield position, but everybody else is pretty much set in stone. So here's who I have coming north to St. Louis. The five old guy starters we have, the old man wrecking crew there of Kyle Gibson, Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Steven Matz, and Miles Michaelis. Now, I don't know if that's how it's going to start, but anything can happen. Last year, Steven Matz just didn't have it. He ended up in the bullpen, got better, made the back into the rotation, and then he got hurt. So his first 2 years in St. Louis, he's had a lot of injuries. The bullpen, I believe, we have this guy we got in the Rule 5 tribe draft last year, and he was hurt all year, Wilkin Rodriguez, and I don't know how he's going to come back from that injury. I think he's got a shot at making the bullpen, and he was very good down in the Mexican League. But like I said, he didn't play last year, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to make it. But Ryan Fernandez is really good from everything I heard from last year. Gallegos, he's like the eighth inning man. Helsley, the closer. John King, who did a really good job, pretty much took Stratton's spot when we traded him. And I think his name's Kettlinger, the kid from Tampa Bay, and Middleton, who is the kid we got in just signed. And the other guy for sure is Palante. I believe those are the guys that's going to come. And Jojo Romero and Zach Thompson. Zach Thompson pitches this week, and I think he's going to win that sixth spot for the first couple of weeks. There's always a day off here and there. And with the age of our team and the really guys are only going 5 innings now, it'll be great to have that sixth guy. It looks like maybe baseball's going that way where they're going to have 6 starters, man rotations now. I don't know, because the innings they're not even most guys aren't reaching 200 innings anymore. Catchers, I think we're coming north with 2 catchers. Wilson Contreras, so glad he's a Cardinal, and Ivan Herrera. And I don't think they're bringing Ivan up just to sit on the bench. He may get to play a couple times a week. Contreras might go to first or go to DH, and then Herrera get to play some defense there, and that's a specialty. And I'm going to tell you what, last year he hit 297, and in his minor league career, he was a 267 hitter. And that's if he hit 245 in his rookie year, I'd be so happy with that. He walks a lot. He steals a few bases. He had 16 home runs, but he's not known for his power, but his defense is what he's known for. So 2 catchers. Our infield, I think that's kind of set in stone. You got Goldschmidt. Then you'll have, I think I've heard this week that the Cardinals are wanting Brendan Donovan to be the second baseman and that Gorman to be the DH. But now, if Matt Carpenter makes the team and DHs a lot, you might have Gorman back in there. They want Gorman in there for his bat. But Donovan is a superior fielder. Shortstop, Mason Wynn. And just like PCA with you guys, he looked overmatched. He only came up for part of that last month, and he got some hits, but his batting average was down. But it looked like he can play defense in the big leagues, and I'm excited to see this kid play. And, of course, the revigorated Nolan Arenado. I also think out of these guys, too, I think Luka Baker's going to make the team. And Tommy Edman, I'm going to put him in with the infielders, but it looks like he might be our starting center fielder. Edman he's only going to hit from one side of the plate, is what I've heard, and he is a superior hitter from that side of the plate. I think he's going to stop being a switch hitter. I hope so. A friend of mine, Troy Lou, has talked about that for several years. That man, this guy, if he could just hit from the one side of the plate, he'd be so much better. So we'll see. I hope they do that. And our outfielders coming north, I think it's going to be Burleson, Carlson, Newt Barr, and Walker. And to be honest with you, I do not think Matt Carpenter is going to make the team. I think there's a 50-50 chance if he comes out and has a really good spring, but if he just doesn't have it, I don't think they're going to try to keep him on the team. It'd be a great story. I hope he still has it. I hope he can make those 6 and 7 and 8 pitch at bats and don't strike out and put the ball in play. Without the shift, I think he'll be better. But this year he will turn 39, so he's getting up there in the years. So anyway, Vince, that's my 26 men coming up for the regular season, and I'm excited. I guess we could be worse, But I have a good feeling that we're going to have a better year this year, and I think our bullpen's going to be stronger, and our starting pitching. And I hate to say this is blasphemy in St. Louis, but just the fact that Flaherty's gone and Wayno finally retired will make our starting pitching even better. I mean, I just think that right there alone makes our starting pitching better. So
Yeah, and I I know that he's a legend around here, but Wayno should have retired the year before.
wouldn't that have been
um,
perfect? Them three walking off the field together, that
yeah,
great moment. But
yeah.
you
In
know,
retrospect, he may feel the same way. Like, maybe I should have hung around for
yeah, I
200
stuck around
wins.
1 year too long, maybe.
Couple things. You don't have Teen Kents on your 40-man roster.
No, I think he's
Um,
still about a year away, and I don't think they want to rush him. And now there's
is
talk about him maybe being a bullpen pitcher. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens, but uh, yeah, I think Teen Kins is at least a year away from being up here. I think he's going to start out maybe Springfield still. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think he's going to start in Springfield or Memphis? So,
I think Springfield still. He's got some work to do, but electric stuff.
second, Victor Scott. You don't have him.
No, I think
What?
he's starting at Memphis. I think they're going to take their time and have him ready. He hit, he fielded, he steals bases. But right now with the outfield we have, and Vince, I think this is the plan. This is just this is me looking in the future. Goldschmidt is a last year of his contract. I don't think they're gonna re-sign Goldschmidt. I love him at his age. I don't think they're going to. I think they want to move Walker out of the outfield and he could play first base or Luca Baker, and then you could move. And then next year, I could see Victor Scott coming up and having a spot. And the Sagis kid that is like a Donovan with more power, I think we're going to have to make some trades or something because Edmund and Donovan and him all can't be on the same team. I don't know. You can't have three super utility guys out there. I don't know what you're going to
Yeah,
do. So I see Goldschmidt being gone, and I see maybe a trade at the trade deadline. If we're in this thing and we need some pitching, I can see us moving a couple of guys right there.
yeah. If you're not in this thing, I don't think Goldschmidt makes it past the trade deadline.
Probably not. No, I don't either.
So, um, yeah, I was watching um one of the baseball things I follow on YouTube, and they were talking about who they thought were going to be the best rookies this year, and they brought up Victor Scott. If he does get some significant time in St. Louis, he's definitely someone who's in the running. And I don't know much about him, but everything that I hear, all this speed, everything, it, you know,
Oh yeah,
brings to mind like Vince Coleman
the
and,
Whitey era. Yeah,
yeah,
and
this,
we had years where we had David Freeze was the fastest guy on our team. We had no team speed, and it's so good to see we got some Mason Wynn. That kid can run. I tell you what, Wilson Contreras is a sprinter compared to Yachty. I love Yachty, but he was Vince. Me and you could, I think we could lap him in a mile.
yeah. Contreras is just a great athlete.
Oh, I love him. I love
This,
him.
does Scott walk much?
I'd have to go back and look at that. I think he's very aggressive, uh, even in his batting. He's been. I saw him play one game last year at Springfield, and I plan on going back this year. I'd like to go to Memphis. I've never seen a game at Memphis, so I'd like to go down there and see some AAA ball and check him out. But from everything I've heard, he's just coming along really good, and they're taking their time. And on a business end, Vince, what do you think? Do you think maybe they're going to have Win as the rookie this year? So they're staggering these guys so they all don't hit free agent at the same time. I know that sounds kind of far fetched, but you just kind of wait, and then you got hints coming, and little by little, you don't have them all come together at one time and have all these young guys all out there at the same time, and they all hit free agency at the same time. Maybe that's kind of a little plan in there too. I
Yeah,
don't
could
know.
be.
Yeah, maybe.
And you're talking about Herrera
Yes.
spending time behind the plate. Um, what the Cubs did is when they had Ross and Montero, and then they brought up Contreras. They had Ross. Ross was going to catch Lester every time, and so he's kind of his personal catcher. And then they would mix and match the other ones. Um, I think it would make sense if you get a veteran pitcher, and that's all you have as veteran pitchers. But get one of them and say, "This is your catcher this year.
Oh
You
yeah.
school him on the big leagues, and that means once a week he will be behind the plate. You can DH Contreras, put him on first. You can put Contreras on left. The Cubs did that, and he wasn't bad. It's not like he's a
Right.
butcher. So there's a lot of stuff you could do with that. Um, so if they decide to take someone like a Lance Lynn, who's pretty easy to catch because not
Asphalt.
throwing 50 different pitches.
Right.
Um, one of these veteran pitchers to say, he's
You're
your
with me.
personal catcher this year. You guys get to know each other and you help him along. This what we see as our future. Then that would be a built-in way to get him, some time behind the plate, some good experience. And yeah, that's the good thing about Contreras is, it's not like Yachty, if he wasn't catching, what was he doing? He couldn't put him anywhere else. With Contreras, you can't do that. So that may
I
be
got a
something.
question for I got a question for you. In an emergency, you guys are going to carry two catchers. In an emergency, who is your uh emergency catcher? Do you guys have an emergency catcher with go in there and catch?
Um,
And
let me.
while you're looking, I will tell you this. The reason I'm asking that was I found out that Brenton Donovan, the super utility guy, is our third catcher. In an emergency situation, he would come in and catch.
Yeah, I don't know who our emergency catcher would be. Every team has one that carries two catchers. For years, Pete Rose was the emergency catcher for the Reds,
I did
and
not know that.
nobody knew it because he never had to play. So you don't see these emergency catchers play often at all. Um, I could see probably like a Madrigal or a Mastroboni. Uh, that would be my guess. You don't want to put one of your better players as your emergency catcher. I mean, Pete Rose was one of the better players on the Reds, but in today's world, you're going to make sure you're going to have someone back there. If they get hurt,
Right.
you're not losing a superstar. So I would guess that, but I have
Yeah.
no idea. He used to be, when I was playing, biggest kid was the catcher. Yeah, big kid
That,
catch.
I was a
So if I'm
catcher.
looking at the biggest guy on the roster here, uh, well, maybe Patrick Wisdom. He's weighing in at 220 pounds.
All
So
right. Patrick
yeah,
Wisdom. All
who
right.
knows? So, oh, well, JJ, what do you? Oh, well, I know what you're opening. You already
Oh,
teased it.
yes. Right there.
We're gonna save yours for last, being it's
Of
the
course.
first. Yeah,
All
and
right.
I'm gonna open the Dondrus Diamond,
All right.
1992 Series 2. Uh,
I'm gonna
and
say
I
two
love the.
two Hall of Famers. I'm gonna say two Hall of Famers in there.
Okay, so I'll take the under on that, being I've
All
not
right.
done too well lately. So I'll go one or less.
Blue skies. Everything's getting better.
Okay. Oh my gosh!
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, the Hawk, Andre
The
Dawson,
Hawk right there. MVP.
beautiful Cubbie away jersey there.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Uh, we have former Dodger pitcher Tim Cruz. He had a pretty good career.
I remember Tim Cruz. Yeah.
And this is a guy who I don't know if he was a great pitcher, but he sure was a great teacher for other players. Mike Schooler, pitching there for the Mariners.
Mariners. That's the only team I remember him playing with.
Yeah. Former Reds catcher Jeff Reed, backup catcher. Ooh, I haven't thought of this guy for a long time. Former Phillies first baseman Ricky Jordan.
Oh yeah. What are you doing?
Ooh, Former Brewer, former Oakland A power hitter, John Jaha.
Jaha.
Former Dodger infielder, Mike Sharperson.
Yes. Dodgers right there.
Former Cardinal infielder who
Hey.
had some great hops and whose son is a great shortstop for the Astros, Geronimo Pena. Look at that. Look at
Oh,
that hair he's
yeah.
got.
There you go. I always liked him.
Uh, Former Red shortstop, Mariano Duncan, also played for the Dodgers.
That's right. Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Not good.
Former Philly, former Yankee, and father of Key Bryan, Charlie Hayes.
Oh, yeah. Charlie Hayes.
Indians pitcher Rudy Sanchez.
Okay. I don't remember him.
A checklist. Former first round pick for the Orioles, Big Ben McDonald.
Oh, yeah. Louisiana, LSU.
Yeah, and
Right?
he's put some age on him, so now he's old McDonald and he has a farm. Oh, former All-Star, made his name with the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Here he is as a Tiger, Lloyd Mosby.
Oh, yeah.
Last card, is it a Hall of Famer? It
All
is
right.
so close because his brother is a great Hall of Famer. He's
Billy?
more known as a pitching coach, Mike Maddox.
Oh, Mike Maddox. You know, I don't
So
know. I don't know if a pitching coach has ever made the Hall of Fame, but he'd be a guy who might get in there as a pitching coach.
I Dave Duncan should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, I
There,
agree.
there are Charlie Lau should be in the Hall of Fame. There are some coaches that need to be in the Hall of Fame. For some reason, it's like, oh, we can put managers in there, but if you're just a coach, if you're just an excellent coach, a hitting coach, a pitching coach, um, forget it. There are some coaches that have done some impressive things that have moved the needle. And one of those is Dave Duncan. He was a pitching coach like nobody had ever seen before. And the mark of a good pitching coach is I will take your scraps, put them on my team, and make them effective. And he did that better than anybody. And that's the same way with a great hitting coach. I can take scraps from other teams and turn them into great hitting coaches. Charlie Lau turned Al Cowens and also ran outfielder to a player who almost won an MVP, second in MVP. John Mayberry, who was an also ran type first baseman, turned him into a great player. Those guys are priceless. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Rant over.
Man, outstanding. Hey, here's a pitching coach for you who's going to be up at the card show coming up in the upcoming months. Leo Mazzoni from the Atlanta Braves.
Another one, yes.
That's another, and he's going to be up there, and I'm excited. I've never met him before. I always think of him sitting next to Bobby Cox, rocking next to him, talking about the starting pitching. Well, I'm opening up, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 Topps baseball cards. It's very exciting. Yes, this is up here with like the ball dropping at Times Square. It's big time stuff here. Now, this is a big pack, so I may kind of just, pick a few here and there. But we just mentioned this guy. Vince, every time we open cards, somebody that we mention's up there. I put this guy on the Cardinal 40-man roster, Jose Fermin, the shortstop. Now, look at these cards. What I like about them, it has like a neon look to them right here at the top with the team name.
Yeah.
You got the rookie card emblem there. If they were an all rookie team, you'd have the trophy. You got the STL, the team, and then there's the player's name and the position he played. And this is what the back of the cards look like this year. And Vince, one thing they're doing, because I think they just want to be positive, I don't think they're putting how many times the batter strikes out on the back. I used to like to compare the walks and the strikeouts. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting to the big time, guys. These guys are all active, so no Hall of Famers, but here's one right here. Bryce Harper. Look at that. They've come so far with these cards with the photography and how colorful they are. When you look at 1930 cards, they almost look like a drawing. And these with the photography and everything, they can do so many things. Live action pictures. Uh, this is a Kansas City second baseman, Michael Massey, and it's one of these side view cards where they caught it where the ball's coming in and he's coming in. Look at that, kids. He's using the other hand to a two-hand catch there. Very good. Um, let's see. Who we got? Oh my gosh. Man, this is an all-star series here. Right there. Aaron Judge.
Oh, there's the
Yeah.
man.
There's the man right there. One of the MLB channel said the best out of the top 100 players, he's number one. Can't argue with it. A man that big playing center field and being an MVP type of player every year. Oh, what a picture. Chas McCormick of Houston. And look at that. He's up against the wall making a dazzling catch. You can see him.
Oh,
A snow cone catch right there. That is phenomenal photography
that's
right there.
great.
With the base, like a giant baseball in the background.
And waste
Fantastic.
management. The waste management symbol up there.
Is that what that is? And look
Yeah,
how muddy his uniform is. That guy gets dirty. That's the kind of guy I want on my team.
that's a gamer. Yeah.
That's a gamer right there. Oh, speaking of the devil, another guy we mentioned in the powder blue 80 Cardinals, Miles Michaelis right there.
There you go.
High, and I like the guys that wear the high socks. Like that look, old timey. Right there. Let's see. San Francisco, Keaton Wynn. Rookie, as you can see, he's got the rookie emblem on there. And again, this is series one. There's going to be a series two and then the update. That's what Topps does now. As far as I know, that's what they do. That's what they have been doing. Vince, we're a big fan. Both me and you have talked about this kid. It's one of the reasons I think Cincinnati's on the upswing. Their ace, Hunter Green, right there. Looks, is that a baseball? He looks like he's throwing the what's that? Where you dry your hand with it?
Rosin bag.
Yeah, it looks like he's throwing the rosin bag.
He not only is he's so talented,
Yes.
um, he's just an impressive guy. I love to hear him interviewed. He's engaging, he's funny, he's thoughtful. He he's not the same old boring, yeah, we're gonna go get him today. He's like he's like mesmerizing, fun to listen to.
And I like that Cincinnati has this new group of kids. It seems like they're always rebuilding. They're in a constant rebuilding state. But I hope these young players stick because they've got some really good ones. I don't want to see them win our division. I'd like to see them be a team of prominence again. It'd be great if we got 3 teams from our division in there, but let's shoot for 1 first, and then we'll work on getting 2. But I found a Cub. It says third, I think it says third, second base and outfield, Christopher Morel. Look at
Yep.
there. He's celebrating. It says future star above him. And that's just a great picture right there. The exuberance of playing the game. And you can see the ivy in full bloom out there on at Wrigley Field. Love that picture. Look, even the bottom looks like a neon kind of sign right there, you know?
Yeah. That picture encapsulates him. He is a fun, gregarious guy. He enjoys the game. And if he can throw from third base, we got a third baseman.
All right. Well, if I was him, I'd be working on it all winter then because man, it sounds like Wrigleyville loves him. This guy, man, what a good player. Vershawn, I can't believe he's just one of the extras there in Toronto land, but man, he is a good player. I forgot what team he came from, but he was one of their top guys.
He's from the Diamondbacks.
Was it Diamondbacks? Well, man,
Yeah.
that guy, he's talented. That's a great action picture. That's what you're seeing with these new cards. Just incredible action. Oh, here we go. Now, this is a nice card. Diamondbacks, Corbin Carroll, right there. That's his rookie card. It's got as you can see, it's got the trophy for the all rookie team. And he's going hard into second. I tell you what, this is the kind of kid you want on your team. I think he's going to be the face of that team for many years as long as he stays healthy. And he lived up to the billing. It's tough when you're like the top prospect, like Jackson Holiday is this year, but he lived up to the billing that they predicted he was going to be rookie of the year. And by God, he did. And he had such a good year. Corbin Carroll, that's a nice card right there.
I don't know who his agent is, but if I was Arizona, I'd be trying to extend him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Nathan Lowe from the Rangers, who kind of came to prominence last year, and he's wearing the old don't know, throwback uniforms, or is that those ones you like, Vince? You have the
Is that City Connect?
City Connect, perhaps.
Yeah, the Cardinal's going to be doing City Connect this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of anxious to see what it's going to look like. It is.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I've just heard that I
They
think the
got
Yankees and the A's are the only two teams that won't have a City Connect this year.
okay. I like the A's and the Yankees, so I can't wait for them either. Well, we just mentioned him. You mentioned him tonight, Daniel Vogelbach, in the transaction thing, and there he is. I like a guy who looks like he's a professional bowler. He's built like me. He's got that little overhang. He doesn't miss the pregame spread right there. All right, Vogelbach. Let's see who we got here. Indy Rodriguez from the Pirates,
There
and
you
I
go.
like the borders. Look at that black for the Pirates right up there. Very nice card. His rookie card right there. Very nice. Hall of Famer, and I hear he's kind of already dealing with some injuries himself. But Justin Verlander, I think he just celebrated his 41st birthday. I believe that's what it was. And there he is on the mound for the Astros. And let's see. I'm just going to kind of pick a few in here. Let's see. Oh, Yaz's grandson, Mike Yastrzemski, right there for the Giants. That's a good one.
Grandbaby Yaz.
Yeah, yeah, they love him out there. Oh, here we go. Talking about this new breed of big shortstops, O'Neill Cruz, right there.
Oh gosh.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of a throwback style of a card too. So these cards are in there as well. You've got that's what the new cards look like, but these are kind of a style of an older uh, year they had.
Yeah,
And go ahead.
last year uh the Pirates opened in Cincinnati, and I watched that was the first game I watched, and I watched it specifically to see Hunter Green pitch to O'Neill Cruz, and Cruz took him deep. It was just
Oh
fun.
man, that is going to be fun. Now they have future of MLB, these young players, and here's it's kind of an eye dazzling card there. But there's Vladimir Guerrero
Oh, cool.
Jr. Very nice card,
And
and it just
he's lost a lot of weight.
yeah.
He's
Oh, has he
cut.
this year? Oh,
Yeah, I
good.
saw a picture of him yesterday. He's like, oh, geez.
Is this his
Monster.
free agent year? Is this his last year before his free agent, or maybe 2 more years? But
Yeah,
he's
I
got
think
the
so.
biggest arbitration deal. I think he set the record. But on the back of the card, it just has like a little brief paragraph about the player. I like these cards; they're very nice. And then Alvarez from the Astros of him jogging, and that kid's a superstar right there. Very nice card. Let's see what else they got. I'll show a couple more here. Wow, look who it is. Speaking of the devil, here's a Hall of Famer right here. Wants to stay with the Angels. The one and only Mike Trout.
I tried.
Mike
Yeah.
Trout. Can you believe he's been around that long now? I think 2011. I think was his rookie
Mm.
year, and here we are, 13 years. This will be coming up. That's something. Valdez from the Astros, and they keep coming up with these superstar players. This kid is
Yeah.
fantastic. They're really on a run. Oh, in the car. Well, as we say goodbye to Tyler O'Neill, he's with the Red Sox now, but there he is. And I think right here in the background, you can see our manager yelling at him to run faster. I think it's right there in the corner of that picture.
I was going to say, is that a picture of him swinging or pulling a muscle?
He's got too many muscles. Satchel
Yeah.
Paige said, I never threw. I didn't. I was skinny. I didn't have any muscles, so I couldn't pull one. And the last one I have here is a guy who had a nice career, but last year really came in. He filled in a lot and was one of the reasons the Rangers won the World Series. Now, he's not one of the first names you'd say, but he came in a bullpen and started, John Gray. And I think he
Yeah.
was kind of underrated last year. And that's what I'm hoping for the Cardinals this year. We have some guys like a John Gray type that come in and just have a really good year and hold their own and keep the ship moving forward. So John Gray, we salute you, and that's the last one we'll show. And I love these new 2024 cards. Very nice. Way to go, Tops. You did good.
Very good. Well, JJ, next time we talk, we'll at least have seen a little bit of spring training games and hear the crack of the bat, the pops of the gloves, the managers getting kicked out of the games and all that good stuff that we look
Oh, the
forward
seventh
to.
inning stretch. I missed that. I missed that. And you guys, Wrigley Field does that better than any other ballpark. The seventh inning stretch. Love that.
Mm. That's because we won't kill Harry. We keep him alive in video.
As it should be.
And then if we get someone like an Ozzy Osbourne or a Bill Murray, or let them do the seventh inning stretch. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, JJ, you have a great week,
You
and
too.
we will talk next week.
All right. Sounds good.